Welcome back to another episode of the Bridge the Gap podcast powered by Revenue Reimagined. It's always me because Dale says the only thing I do good on this show is the intro. We have an awesome guest with us today, which is Alex Olley, the co-founder and CRO of Reachdesk, and one of the people who has actually figured out how to break through this GTM noise without just breaking the budget and hiring a ton of people. He helped build Reachdesk from scratch into a leader in the gifting space and direct mail, a space I know well, having formerly led sales at Swag Up, and knows firsthand how outbound needs to evolve, especially, Alex, when the buyer's BS radar is on high alert. We're going to dive into what works, what doesn't, what most GTM teams get totally wrong about trust, timing, and personalization. Alex, welcome to the show, man.
Guys, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this one since, I signed up a couple of weeks ago and now I'm here. So I'm really pumped for this one. So thanks for having me.
And see, you just have to take that clip of the introduction and now you can just go anywhere. It could be like your intro to anywhere you want to go.
It's the best thing I do on this show.
Let's see.
Alex, so one of the things that you've said a lot is outbound's not dead. It's just done really badly.
Yes.
What do most teams do that are so wrong? And what are they missing on the outbound?
Oh my word. We've only got 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Touché.
Okay, so let's start with the people side of things. Now, one of the things that I've learned about outbound, if you really, really, really want to make outbound work, don't give it to an idiot like me, a CRO, to just manage on his own. Get a group, great leadership in it. Now, I see the teams, the companies who thrive with outbound. They're not just sort of around that sort of 70%, 80% pacing mark. The ones that thrive are the ones that have a leader at the helm who was really driving it forward, who was obsessed. I've hired outbound leaders who they kind of tell me in the interview process that I'm a career outbound leader. That's what I want to dedicate my time to. And they're the ones that know how to both crack the whip and motivate reps, but also understand the art and how it evolves. And they're always meticulously looking at that thing, understanding how I get that SDR to perform as opposed to
it's not easy to manage. It's not something you just pick up.
It's not easy, man.
That leadership is a different style.
Yeah, it's a different style. There's a reality to it, obviously, that a lot of SDRs, outbound is predominantly driven through younger individuals who it's often their first job. And so people don't need to take offense to this, but you're learning how to write emails and how to behave in a corporate environment. And that in itself isn't easy. And learning how to show up, and they probably move to a big city where they want to have some fun too. So some days they don't show up in the right headspace. And so it's like you're doing a bit of mothering whilst having to motivate them, whilst having to teach them. And that's so hard. And so getting the leadership right there is critical. And I think I underestimated that for far too long. I think I was looking for someone who was, I want to be a VP of sales one day. And actually I focused on hiring I'm a career outbound leader and this is my bread and butter. That one person can change things. And I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a CRO, and he said, I've got these really great SDRs and we've got all the tools and the data and everything, but I just can't seem to get it work. And I said, well, how good's the leader who's at the helm there? And he said, we've got a team lead. I said, and then that conversation was 9 months ago. And I told him, I think you need to hire someone who lives and breathes this, right? And who is a visionary at the same time, who's going to want to start to think about AI workflows and folding that into really scaling this new era that we're living in. And then he called me up about 2 weeks ago and said, we didn't change anything other than the leader, and now we're flying. And I think that's really important. I think it's really important to address that bit, right? That's one thing.
I love that part because I do think people look at the BDRs, but they never look at the leader in that space. And like you said, it's a different leader. And something you just said, I wanted to just double click on because I think while this is prevalent across all of go-to-market and sales, AI will really take over a lot of things that are happening in the in the front end of the funnel, in the outbound motion. So I think that's that person now I think used to be someone like, okay, we're going to do daily stand-ups. We're going to go through the process. We're going to like crack the whip. We're going to kind of a little micromanage. Now you need to have that strategy piece of it as well. So it's almost like this job has gone from like not so sexy to like potentially super sexy with the advent of AI.
100%. They're becoming a hybrid between like a BDR leader and a go-to-market engineer. And those guys are really special. And so that's what I'm saying. The second thing I'm saying that where companies fail and where we certainly failed is we really overlooked the concept of like air cover. Now, there's a moment when a BDR calls someone, and I listen to loads of calls. There's a moment when a BDR calls someone saying, hey, it's Alex calling from Reachdesk. And someone's like, who?
Yep.
I've never heard of you guys before. What?
Yep.
And, oh, yeah, I have heard of you guys. Now, remind me what it is. I think you're gifting, right? Something along those lines. That's a very different conversation. And that transpires through the work of marketing and brand awareness and being there and occupying people's minds so that when BDRs do call, they're not going totally cold. And that is
we
the thing
say
that
this
scares
all the time.
Right? So that's the thing that scares people because they're like, hang on a second, marketing should be over here. And BDRs should be at the opposite end, and they should just be given lists and like go and hit the phones. And you're setting them up to fail massively. And I speak to like VPs of marketing and CMOs. They're like, why would we give BDRs lists of people who attended events, or why would we send them signals of things that happen on our website? That's like sort of that's marketing's job. We should hope those people turn into MQLs or something on those lines. I'm like, no. Get your people to work those accounts because they're warmed up and that's where they succeed. And actually you need a smaller team to do that. You don't need these armies of BDRs all of a sudden. You need fewer people. So it's actually more efficient from a unit economic standpoint as well. And so when you understand that and you fuse the two together and you're providing that air cover, your BDRs are going to be far more successful. Now, one of the biggest evolutions that I've also seen more recently is that we have to scale, right? This concept of cold calling being dead is just, I smile every time people say that because I'm like, you're actually opening the door for more opportunity for me because fewer people are doing it. But there are ways that you have to scale. I'll give you an example, right? I don't believe the BDRs can just punch and dial one phone after the other now. You need parallel dialers and things like that to be able to scale so they are having enough conversations to enable them to be productive enough. But with that, you have to change your approach. So we used to be like hyper-personalized on every single prospect. And we would say like, this is a research call, Adam. I know everything about you and I've researched you. This is why I'm calling you. I don't think that's possible anymore because there are so many filters and things that are getting in the way. And so what we've done is we have done like, if you do find hooks and triggers and things on individuals, use them. But actually, typically speaking, it's very like we've zoned in on the personas who are going to buy us. We position those problems so that when you are calling someone, you're saying, typically speaking, we find that heads of marketing are really struggling to break through the noise right now, right? Pipeline is suffering as a result. It's because this, and this. To what extent does that resonate with you? You're doing this persona-based prospecting at scale, which I do think works, as long as that pitch is really clear. And then you enable your BDRs with things like we use a tool called Nooks to do parallel dialing so that you can hit enough people at the same time. And so you have to, with scale, have that trade-off for things like hyper-personalization to just like relevance, but you're getting enough volume to be able to get enough at-bats and conversations to be able to book enough meetings that translate into pipeline. And I think not enough people are making that shift to be able to enable the BDR to scale.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think there's this old mindset of, to your point, here's your list, just dial. No marketing air cover, no brand awareness. And then when the conversions don't come in, it's blame the BDRs, fire the BDR leader, but no one knows who the heck you are. It has to be this team approach more than anything. Alex, if a company's pipeline is drying up, where should they start? Is it people? Is it process? Or is it playbook?
Is it people, process, or playbook? I'm not going to lie, our pipeline hasn't always been full. And when it hasn't been, the first thing I look back into is our ICP. Ultimately, like, are the people we're hitting, are they the right people who are going to buy? And look, I had this, it was about just over a year ago. And actually, it's interesting. If you look at it, the trend line of pipeline wasn't too bad. It was the actual revenue that translated from it. Our pipeline was dipping a little bit, but I think we made that mistake of going a bit too wide. with who we were going after. And when we really narrowed it, you can do regression analysis, all those things to really show you like who are the right buyers for you. We were like, hang on, we need to get this even more and more refined. How do we really lay that on? And the moment we changed our actual like ideal customer profile, not just like how many employees, what's the headcount, who are the personas. That's not your ICP, by the way. That's like
Preach.
It's not your ICP. People think that is for some reason, or some people will say like they're this industry and this size. That is so far from your ICP. It's scary. But when you start to understand what are those nuances within the buyers who are actually buying, particularly at the fastest rate, you go there. And then you figure out what are the best ways to unlock those buyers from our pipeline. Not only do you need less pipeline to do it, but you're going to get to where you want to go to way faster. And if you think about it, if you're generating 100 opportunities a month, for example, but your win rate's 8%, you could actually do that with 50 opportunities. So you're going to need half the pipeline if your win rate was 16%. We got ours to 24 when it was 8 at one point from a specific channel, which meant we needed a third amount of the pipeline. And when I tell people this, I'm like, do you realize if you really looked into what those actual signals are behind who's buying, why they were buying, what the situation they were in, look at those things that you can then go to find, you'll need a third of the amount of pipeline and your life is so much easier. And from there you can grow. And that's my approach, is try and get the win rate as high as possible. Try and force yourself to get as little pipeline as possible. That will obviously, we've got revenue plans that we need to hit, but then grow back from there. You will grow way faster as a result. And that's what I've seen over the past 12 months. We've been nailing our numbers because we've taken that approach of like quality over anything. And as you see more and more of those, you can go and find more of them. That's way easier than having to go and find this crazy amount of pipeline, because everyone gets distracted. You need way more resources and it's an impossible task.
Yeah, but coming from a leader, that's super important, because once again, if we go back to the leadership side of this equation, it's most people are saying more pipeline, more dials, more outreach, more contacts, all of this stuff.
More.
And they're not actually, revisiting their ICP, their buying personas, the value propositions, and then also looking, so not only the people that are buying in the front of the funnel, but who is staying with you? What does success look like? How much success are they really having? Who's dropping out of your funnel? Because like that'll tell you a lot of what's happening in the front end of your funnel. The people that are falling out in the bottom should be the people that you're not putting into the top, because it's just a waste of time and potentially cost you a bunch of money. But people, just like they've tried to define their ICP like 3 years ago, they're like, oh yeah, our ICP, yeah, we did that exercise. Like here's the 3-ring binder and we're done with it. And so I love that perspective. And I love that from a leadership perspective, Alex, that you're really looking at that quality over quantity.
But it's a much easier game. I think you both said it, right? Everyone wants more. And we actually had this conversation, like we don't want more. We actually want less. Ideally, we have the same, but high quantity. But we said, well, let's have less. But
you could get to more. You can get to more once you get your close rates to 24-25%. Like you can go more, because now you know what good looks like. If you don't know what good looks like, you're putting fuel on crappy stuff. So
let's shift gears for a second. I want to talk about what I'm going to call the psychology of a package, right? So when we talk gifting, there's, call it, 2 real main players in the space and a bunch of like other smaller players. And I get this space better than most, right? Like I led sales for a swag company that tried to pivot to gifting other than like corporate swag and failed effing miserably. But most people, when they think gifting, think swag, right? Like, oh, Alex, you took a demo with me. I'm going to send you a really cool Revenue Reimagined logo t-shirt that you're never going to wear. That's going to be some rag somewhere. What makes a gift actually move pipeline? Because I would imagine you guys use your product and use Reachdesk very heavily in your sales process. What makes a gift actually move pipeline versus being some generic like gift that you send the same shit to everyone every time?
It's really simple. Give people something they want they can use over and over again.
How do you find that?
That's illogical. Well, look, we stopped trying to play this game of trying to figure out what Gail and Adam want, because it kind of gets a bit spooky, right? If it's like, if I showed up and Adam's like, oh my God, you know everything about me. How do you know it was a boomerang I wanted for my birthday? It's like, well, I stalked you on like your Instagram pages. You're like, okay, now you're being a bit weird, Alex. Like,
Yeah.
We're not trying to play that game. Like, there was a player in the space who did play that game. It didn't work out for them, and we saw it from a mile away. What we think.
What was it? A female person's name that was the player in the space by chance?
Potentially, yes. So we're not trying to play that game, because I think there is a spooky element to like, I've heard stories of sales reps sending like their female prospect who's married like a golden necklace with their initials engraved on it, and it's just like, oh, what are you doing? And it's because the AI or whatever it was, the researcher, it oversteps the mark. And so what we do is we try and hypothesize, what would someone like that want, right? But really importantly, we give them the choice to choose something else or to donate it to a charity. And those methods work really well. If someone says, look, yeah, fine, you saw that I like rugby, right? Cool. Like, you've sent me a rugby gift. I don't need a rugby gift. You're not sending me anything like too crazy. But actually, I don't need another Lions. There's a big tournament going on at the moment. The British and Irish Lions are playing in Australia. I don't need a Lions baseball cap or something. But you know what? I do need something, because I cycle everywhere. So I'm going to choose that instead. And so actually, we're not trying to solve this hyper personalized motion of trying to guess exactly what that individual wants. We're trying to get as close to that as possible, and then give them the choice to choose something they might want. So we have this gigantic marketplace, and by the time this recording goes out, we'll have launched it, but we've released something that essentially allows us to integrate with Amazon, so that you can choose pretty much anything from whatever you want in the world. And all of our marketplace is localized. So if I'm in France, I could choose something from within France. It's only being shipped there. It's culturally appropriate. And I'm always going to be able to find something for me. And the principle of reciprocity is the thing that works. Remember, we built this. I built this for my SDR and AE team. Right? I was a head of sales, and I had SDRs and AEs using gifting, and it worked like there's no tomorrow. And so all you really want to try and do is get the person to give back the thing that's most valuable to them, which is their time. And it doesn't need to be massively overthought. So if you get something that's close to being what that person wants, you give them the power of choice or the ability to donate to a charity, for example, there's a high degree of likelihood they're going to say, yes, you know what, we will meet you. Now, the thing I do not believe in, just to be clear, I do not believe in this workflow. Hey, Adam, if you take a meeting, I will send you something, right? And there's a condition attached to it.
Thank you.
I don't believe in that. It doesn't work. You will get a lot of meetings, and very few of them will translate into pipeline or revenue. Right? That is what will happen.
I'll take my $25 Starbucks gift card, but I have no need for your product. But you have some BDR manager or AE manager or marketing person who's like, yeah, I have 30 minutes. I could use a gift card. Right? It's the worst strategy ever.
And so what we do is we give without expecting anything in return. But as a result, you will get what you ask for. And there's no condition attached to it. And that's the critical line for us. And we see that work really well.
People buy from people. That's why companies who invest in meaningful connections win. The best part? Gifting doesn't have to be expensive to drive results, just thoughtful. Sendoso's intelligent gifting platform is designed to boost personalized engagement throughout the entire sales process. Trust me, I led sales for a Sendoso competitor, and I could tell you, no one does gifting better than Sendoso. If you're looking for a proven way to win and retain more customers, visit sendoso.com. How do you prove ROI on gifting when the action is like purely emotional versus like transactional? Like, how are you guys looking at like this gifting is working? Is it tied into pipeline? I'm sure you have integrations with Salesforce and or HubSpot that could look at gifts sent to pipeline generated, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So our strategy from the get-go, everyone in our space, they were all talking about sending stuff.
Yep.
We're going to send you swag. We're going to send you a gift. Our whole strategy from day one, which is why I think you alluded to it earlier, there are two players now, two proper players. It's Reachdesk and one other. And our big thing would come.
I only know of Reachdesk. That's the only player I know of.
Good. Well, let's only talk about us now.
Good answer.
our big thing from the beginning was all about ROI, and so that's what we want. That's what we wanted to be known for, and our strategy was all around that. And actually, I'll tell you the story behind it, because I do think, like, I'm going to go on a massive tangent here, but there's this concept of, like, in go-to-market, you're a must-have or a nice-to-have, and I don't believe in that. I believe in being a no-brainer. So I think very, very, very few, like 0.1% of providers out there are a must-have. I think everyone else is what they call themselves a nice-to-have. But there's this really great place to play in the middle, which is, I need to be a no-brainer. I need to make this so easy for people to go, yeah, there's no reason why we shouldn't do that. And so what we invented was these brand promises, where we said, look, we commit to our customers that they will generate pipeline through gifting. Okay. We then have this guarantee, which is, if you don't, we're going to do something in return for you. So for every dollar you spend with us, you're going to get at least $5 back in pipeline. And the guarantee was really, if we don't hit that, we're going to refund you the difference. So we were this player in the space. This is what allowed us to go. We went from 0 to 20 million in nearly like 2 years. This is what allowed us to be these new guys, these upstarts, to go, we're not talking about sending or anything anymore. We're going to talk to you about pipeline. And I trained our sales team to be consultants with, these are what I call these moments that matter, these 15 moments within every buyer journey where you can use gifting repeatedly, regardless who you are, to generate pipeline and accelerate deals. All right. And then here's the best part, is we then created a product that no one else in our space still has to this day, called Reachdesk IQ, which allows you to run the ROI and attribution, which is a flexible attribution model, to allow RevOps people to go, okay, so we're spending this much, we're getting this many meetings, it's linked back to our Salesforce, but there's an attribution calculator on it that we can manipulate that allows us to understand the true ROI of gifting. And no one's come close to us on being able to do that. And that's been our strategy from day one.
I love this, and I want to let Dale chime in, but that brought up a question. So I do. Alex, if I were to ask you, is Reachdesk a gifting solution, or is Reachdesk a software? Which are you?
We're a gifting solution, to be clear. Like, the output is gifting. We have software that powers it behind it. If we positioned ourselves as a software solution, I think we would still blend into the background with everyone else. But to be clear,
Reachdesk IQ
do
sounds cool. All right, Dale. Sorry. I'm so used to you taking over the podcast that whenever I could ask a follow-up question to my own question, it makes me so happy.
So Alex, Adam's worked in this space. We've collaborated with a couple of people in this space. What we know is that this is not just a gifting place. This is really a operational nightmare piece that you guys have to deal with on a daily basis. And so you have this whole RevOps thing, and we talked a little bit about what you're doing on the RevOps side. But how do you make, people hear gifting and they think, oh, brand, but it's also about the operations, the systems, the scale. How do you make that human touch repeatable?
It's very simple. You build it into workflows. You don't use it as this ad hoc motion. For example, if you're an SDR, you would put this into your outreach sales loft cadences, for example. One of our customers, let's say they're the biggest B2B data provider, who we all know, we're built into their inbound motion.
They may or may not sponsor this show.
Okay. I'm not allowed to mention who they are, but I think we all know who they are. But we're built into that inbound workflow. So when specific people request a demo, for example, to drive attendance, it's within that workflow. When customers use us to, a lot of customers are now using us within their events workflow. So pre-event, how do we do hotel drops? How do we send people stuff to get you to attend the booth and then send swag or gifts afterwards, so they don't just chuck it in the trash can like we all do when we get handed a load of swag at the booth. And what that allows you to then do is then have that really great follow-up from an SDR perspective. So we've mapped out all these different workflows as to where you can fold this in through integrations, so that it is a very easy, repeatable thing to do, as opposed to this one, let's ad hoc, just send someone a gift when we think it's a good idea. And so the playbooks are built into the platform itself. So we've got all these use cases based on you as a user. how you might want to use it, and then that then folds into your sales engagement platform, your CRM, your marketing automation, whatever it is, so that you can just deploy it very easily.
So let's give a little bit of a value here. What's a process you built internally that other CROs should take and steal from Reachdesk?
Oh, wow. What's a process that I've built? What, about gifting or not?
About go-to-market. Something about go-to-market. Nothing proprietary, but something where you like had a problem, you built an internal process, and you're like, someone should try to rebuild it. We all know they probably won't, but
yeah. I mean, I share a lot of my stuff on LinkedIn. I write it up and I just put it out there. But the one I haven't shared is actually mine in our CEO's pride of joy. Again, it stems from a problem that I had. So I'm very outbound heavy. I believe outbound is huge. It's generated over half of our revenue as a business. But when I've had my biggest problems is when outbound isn't working. And what we did is we built this model. And what we looked at is like things like performance, tenure, and we looked at things like what is the average tenure of a BDR when they look to leave, because either they want to be an account executive or they get offered another job, or they just get frustrated because they're trying to get on the next rung of the ladder. And we built this matrix, which we look at every 2 weeks, and it looks at every single BDR, month over month, performance-based, tenure-based, and it spits out this number telling you what we call this concept of having a bench of BDRs, saying you need to be hiring now because that person is going to ramp here. And so there's this forensic approach, and we haven't really missed any BDR targets for about a year now, because we've got this forensic approach which puts a mirror up to us when we go, no, we're good. Steve's not moving on anytime soon.
He's doing great. Yeah.
Next thing you know, Steve's like, I'm out of here, guys. We're like, obviously we should have known that, because Steve's been here for 22 months and the average is 18. So we should have been hiring 6 months ago to make sure there's someone who's going to be able to slot in for Steve, who is actually ramped and is going to be able to make sure that we're not going to miss our outbound target, right? And so it's really simple. It's the principle of having a bench, right? This is something that I negotiated with our CFO, and I said, I did the maths on it. I said, if we don't have a bench of people, and if we wait until someone's either performance managed out or that they leave, then we're going to have a revenue gap. And I showed them the maths. And I said, these are the consequences of not doing this. So I need another X amount per year to be able to build this bench. But as a result, we're very rarely going to have a risk in our pipeline. And so it's this forensic document. It's a Google sheet, actually. We've spent thousands of hours on it, not just to monitor it, but it basically goes, you need to hire now, right? Here's what segment you're hiring for, here's why, and it spits out the number. And so we're always hiring for this bench to be able to have this constant succession, so that so we're never in trouble. And that is a mechanism that I wish someone had taught me 10 years ago, because it would have got me out of a lot of trouble.
It's brilliant. I love it. I think that's gold for anyone that is listening to this, for sure.
Yeah, if you're not budgeting for that, to your point, you're gonna have some huge misses, for sure. Alex, everyone's talking about AI, right? Outbound, your BDRs, your SDRs, it's all going to be replaced by AI. Just go to Clay, automate the hell out of it. Where do you think it's really headed? What should be replaced by AI, and what still needs that human touch, man?
So the thing you cannot replace is the conversation. That's the thing that I'm protecting at all costs. I've seen people talking about that you can talk to this AI salesperson. I was like, I would never buy from them, partly because I wouldn't trust the person programming it to give me all these false answers, right? Because if I'm talking to a bot, I mean, people don't, I think, where is it? Salespeople are third top on the list behind the most untrustworthy people. It's politician, bankers, then salespeople. And so I think an AI sales agent is going to go right above the politicians, number one. So the conversation
AI politician
you can't replace. Oh God, that sounds terrifying. But okay, let's stick to outbound. I think a lot of people know there's a theme here with outbound, so let's perhaps stick with that. What you can automate is account selection, right? Contact research, data enrichment. All these things can be automated. If you know this is a really good account, here's why. Now I've already found you. This is what I'm building at the moment. I've already found you. We know on average it takes 6 to 8 prospects to break into account that we need to touch. So let's find those 6 to 8 people. AI can do that for you. We've enriched the data doing using waterfalling mechanism to be able to get their phone number, their email address, their LinkedIn profile. We've done the research on them. Guess what? What you need to do now is you just need to call them. You need to engage with them on LinkedIn, and that's it. Those are the bits. The conversation and that human interaction is the bit I would never replace. Never say never, but I am saying never now. The rest of it, I think, can be optimized. And that's where SDRs, BDRs, they're spending like 30 to 40% of their time doing that. So I'm looking to eliminate that and just allow them to be what we call this call center, which I think we need to give it a new name. But we just want them to be humans doing what humans do. And I don't want hallucinations. And I've heard of people trying to automate everything on LinkedIn. Even I was like, just stay away from that. It's a social network. So
I just posted about like all these N8N like workflows and all this. Oh my God, I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah. And I've been deep in the AI SDR world. I was an advisor to one of those companies. And I said to the CEO, you have a choice. You either build the AI powered SDR or the AI SDR. And I would never build an AI SDR. The AI powered SDR is the human surrounded by the technology that can take away the busy work that just doesn't need to be done by humans anymore. And you will always need a human at the center of it. And that's what I'm on the journey on at the moment. I'm going to start writing it all up quite soon.
Build the AI.
But that's my stance.
100%.
What is there good AI that builds good outbound messaging, or does it still need to have that human touch?
I haven't found it myself yet, to be honest with you. We've tested loads of different things, but I don't think it's got there. We're waiting for this next wave of like agentic AI. Maybe it will start to mimic us as humans in the best way. But like maybe it's us, right? Us as a business, we're selling to like salespeople and marketers. There's a bit more freedom, right? We're not selling to banks or government, and we're quite cheeky with our messaging. We're quite
I love it.
There's a lot of puns, quite good ones as well. There's a lot of creativity to it, and I'm yet to find a solution that can replicate that. So the people that we hire are people that are really, really good at that. And the messages I get from people, they're like, "Oh my God, your outbound team is unreal," because they're taking things to a level that is already breaking boundaries.
But that's how they stand out from the noise, right? That's how it stands out from the 37 other messages I got today that are clearly AI with the M dashes and the I hope this email finds you well. I love that, man.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I was sitting down with a couple of our BDRs yesterday, and we were looking through someone's LinkedIn profile, and they saw someone. The post was like, "Hey, started with a cold plunge this morning." Like, hey, I'm not going to find that. So it's like, hope your cold plunge wasn't too cold this morning. Here's something to warm you up, right? And like they're just going straight to the point on it. This hope, as you said, hope this email finds you well. What's that line I get a lot? It's something like looking to connect to. I can't remember.
Industry leaders or whatever BS.
Looking to connect with industry leaders to brainstorm and synthesize ideas together. I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to meet you. So yes, I think we're a bit more creative. We're a bit more out there. I do advocate for that. Even in companies, every company says, well, that's not what our buyers want. I'm like, your buyers are just humans at the end of the day, and they just want something different.
Yeah, 100%.
Alex, this is amazing. Let's wrap it up with some rapid fire, and so I'll jump over Adam for a second.
Okay, I'm always terrified by rapid fire questions, so I have no idea what you guys are going to throw
No, don't be.
What's the most overrated GTM metric?
The MQR.
Yes, I love that.
Love it. What's one thing reps should stop doing in outbound today?
Stop putting outbound reps needs to stop putting their calendar link as the call to action in every email they send, saying, "Here's my calendar link. Booking a time with me" on the first email.
I love it.
What's a gift that you sent that completely flopped?
I once sent a brick mug. It was a mug that was shaped like a brick, saying, "Do you feel like your pipeline is constantly running into a brick wall? And then the guy called me up saying, "Why did you send me a brick? I didn't get it." I was like, "All right, I'll work on that one." So it didn't work very well.
If you're starting over at a new company, you have to build a GTM team from scratch. Who's your first hire?
Oh, that's a very hard question. If I was starting it from scratch, oh man. I mean, look, I'm a salesperson, so if I was there, I'd be doing the selling. So I don't think I'd hire an AE. I think I would still hire an SDR, to be honest with you. I think I would.
Final question. Let's wrap this up. Dream vacation destination.
Always Dale's last question.
In India. Have you guys been?
I have.
No.
I've been there for a month. I went for a month. My wife and I. It was amazing.
Yeah, so India, the southwest coast, Kerala. I went there once. I could go back every year.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Couple good spots. Awesome.
Alex, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for sharing all things go-to-market, all things gifting. Y'all, if you want to gift and you want to do it right, go check out Reachdesk. Great product, great people, and great mindset on gifting. You really can't go wrong. We'll drop a link in the show notes for you to go check them out.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.